So basically, the reason I got into beatboxing originally was because at school or at lunchtime, we all wanted to freestyle rap and just hold our dicks and act like gangsters and all that sort of stuff. And we needed a beat, and so I basically would be the one that came up with the beat because I wasn't that good at freestyling anyway. And so originally I was just going, and eventually I sort of refined that sound over time, but I never really got into the technicalities like these kids can do today, where they can just put millions of sounds into like one bar and just all these crazy stuff. I don't really do that. I use a loop station and I loop it up. So what I want to kind of teach you guys today is the certain, like the basics that you can use just so you can jam with your mates or whatever. And you don't need a microphone to do this. You can just get loads of amplification just out of your face. So the first one, the easiest way to start is there's so many languages out there where the human language has got so many, I mean, all the different languages around there have got so many different sounds. And the voice can do so many different things. The dictation, the way your mouth moves and all of that stuff. There's so many sounds that you can make, whether you're from Russia or France or Holland or whatever. There's all these different all these different sounds. And you can use them at African languages. They started with noises anyway, a lot of the time, drum sounds and all that stuff. Tabla playing, the dude last night was showing that. So basically, our own language and sentences that we say even in English can teach you how to beatbox, is my whole point. So for example, has anyone heard of bouncing cats, like the phrase bouncing cats? So you guys know that? So that's a really simple, basic one to start with, and then I'll go a bit more complicated from there. So basically, you say bouncing cats, bouncing cats, bouncing cats. So bouncing cats, bouncing cats, bouncing. Keep doing it. And then take out the vowel. So, and then if you want to grunt, you can bounce, 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 bounce. Keep doing it. And at the end of it, you can do bouncing cats, 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 bouncing cats. You try and get completely all the whisper out of there, so you're not even saying bounce. All right, cool. Right, so stop there for a second. So you guys are all beatboxing already, right? That's pretty sweet. That's much better than most of the time I've done it. So you can change the sound of the snare drum is basically one of the most important things to getting a different sounding drum kit. So we were using a rim shot sound, which is the, but if you want to make like a sound, right? That's basically saying puffy, but you remove the vowel, so it goes from puffy to. So you know, try it. So bouncing, puffy. Bouncing, 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 bouncing. That sounds pretty good. Bouncing, stop. Right. That's the other snare, and then there's a third snare that's really nice, and that's posh. Where you take the oh out, it's put it at the end of it, so. Joe, I mean, I don't have to teach you guys anything, it's amazing. All right, so that's like your simple boom, cat sound. So how you wanted to make a ragamuffin beat. There's a phrase for that one. Born too clever, too clever, born too clever, too clever, born too clever, too clever. Say it. Born too clever, too clever, born too clever, too clever, born too clever, too clever, born too clever, too clever. Stop for a second, right? So one reason it's really important to be able to say the clever bit is because each bit of sound that you're making just to say clever actually has an effect on the sound of the beatbox. For example, the reverb on the snare, the clever bit is like a reverb. So each bit of each sound that you make has to be accentuated as much as possible, and that all comes from obviously practicing loads and tightening it up and putting as much like strength into your lips and into your tongue as you can. So. So let's try that again one more time. 1, 2, 3. going. Tighten up the clever, yeah? And then you get a clever. Yeah, so say what? When do you breathe? Well, we're not focusing on breathing just yet, just breathe whenever for now. That's just something that you that's later, more advanced sort of stuff. Yeah, just take a breather and just get back into it. I kind of, depending on what the beat is, you find your points and then you use the breath as an accent. So, okay, that was a shit example. I mean, that's a hard beat to put in. I don't know, I haven't worked on that one yet for a presentation, I just do it in the moment. But yeah, like for example, like you find sounds that you can make. But yeah, let's forget that for now, let's figure it out. So born to clever, or say you wanted to make, you can use that same born to clever sentence, but to make a dubstep beat. So let's try that. Say it with me now. Too clever to be too born, to be too clever to be too born, to be too clever to be too born, to be too clever. Say it. Born to be too clever to be too born, to be too clever to be born, to be too clever. Or just born to be too clever to be too born, to be too clever to be too born, to be too clever. Accentuate the diction, yeah. And holding that rhythm isn't so hard when you're remembering that it's a sentence, right? Accentuate the born. And then the snap. All right. All right, great. You guys sound awesome. Sounds good with heaps of people in the room. So then, if you wanted to make a funk beat, and I'm going to go back over these again as well, so I'm just going through the basics now. If you wanted to make a funk beat, like a funky drummer beat, which is the same thing, born to be clever, to be too clever, to be born, we'll slow it down. Born to be clever, to be too clever, to be born to be clever, to be too clever, to be born to be clever, to be too clever, born to be clever, to be too clever, to be born to be clever, to be too clever, to be born to be clever, to be too clever, born to be clever. Harder? Con some confidence. Keep going. And then we're going to change it to puffy, yeah? So. Keep it. And now push. Nice. You guys are awesome. All right. Sweet. So you guys, okay, so basically those are the basic rhythms in order to like, because you can basically come up with a formula for every different sound. For example, the funky drum and beat that we just did, if you want to make drum and bass, you just have to speed it up, because that's what drum and bass is, like a break, funky drum and bass. And then you remove some of the accent. I mean, it's just, you just take all the little bits out and slow it down. Anyway, okay, cool. So, any questions at this stage?
How do you get a sound that's not your voice and it's not a whisper? What's the actual tone?
Taking out, well, basically it's the snap of your lips, basically, so that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound very good if it's the first time you've ever done it. I've been doing this since I was 16. So my muscles have now sort of, gotten used to doing that. It's like playing a didgeridoo. You can't just pick it up and start straight away. You need to spend some time. The snap is also what defines a lot of beatboxers for their sound as well, like the different things that they can do, the different tonalities they can get. I'm not a great beatboxer, to be honest. Like I would never enter a beatbox battle ever, because a lot of what I do, which I'll explain later on, is mainly I take these sounds and then I put it through an effects pedal and then I loop it. I'll spend like 5% of my show beatboxing, because literally I've got my sample, I just go. That's all I do for the whole song, literally. Because like one kick and one snare, like repeated, like as a 2-bar loop, is basically the best way to make people dance, because it's like a lot of dance music. I have the same snare and the same kick repeated over and over again. It's not like a natural drummer playing the whole tape. So yeah, I can make, just with techno, it's one kick, and it's just the same kick repeated. It sounds proper real, as opposed to someone just doing that. Yeah, so basically that's the other one thing I really want to explain hardcore, is I'm really not an amazing beatboxer of all technicalities, but as far as getting like acoustic vibes going, that's this is all I really know. So let's try the ragamuffin beat again, but this time taking away the just to born, posse born. Now put the posh. And on the born, put the lowest note you can get in this. Stop, all right. Another thing that's really cool as well is, rather than just doing, because a lot of time when you're saying born, right, you're letting your voice do the weight of the kick drum. Like here. You can even get the same effect by sort of doing raspberry, like you're playing a didgeridoo. Can everyone do that? So when you basically your Adam's apple, like the lower that goes, the more the cavity opens up and the deeper your voice can be. So if you're going, see my Adam's apple moving, right? Opening yourself up like that can sound deeper. Same goes for when you're doing. Obviously the tongue as well has a bit to do with it as well. But it's like being aware of that just to begin with. I know it's probably lots of information going to your brain, but just so it's in there. So when you want to make a really, yeah. So when you want to make the kick drum fat just using the raspberry sound, you go, as opposed to, it's a completely different sound again. So if we slow that down, everyone together, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, by spitting on people. Now with that, you can actually pitch that. Like a lot of people do bass lines, but saying? On a microphone, it's a lot easier also to get the resonance of that sound and whatnot. So be aware of that as well. Like try and get the deepest tone. Just to start with, try and get the deepest tone out of your lips. And that comes from lowering your Adam's apple. If you don't know how to lower your Adam's apple, if you yawn, when you, that naturally lowers your Adam's apple to sound like that. Right.
And if you go right up the top, then it sounds like you've got a high-pitched voice, right? Yeah, mate, what's going on?
So, Does everyone seems to be all getting this quite well. This is pretty good. This guy's making a sound that's slightly different again, where he's going, which is a different sound again. It's good for the didge sound. And what you're doing is you move your tongue up to your lips as you make the sound of. Can you guys do that? Spitting everywhere. Yeah. You feeling that? You just move your tongue towards it. So that gets that. So I obviously spent a lot of hours just in my room by myself making silly noises for years, basically trying to work out different sounds and stuff like that. But it pays off eventually, you know, you keep doing it, right? But and also, like, you know, jamming along to instruments is really fun as well. Like, I mean, when I'm in a club, a lot of the time I'll hear a beat and I'm like, oh, I want to know how to do that beat. So when I'm in the club, like, I want to rip that beat off maybe for one of my nights because I'll have lyrical come into my head. I'm like, how do I remember? Rather than get my phone out, I'll just emulate the beat and come up with a phrase or something to remind myself of that rhythm so that I can go home and either make it with an actual, you know, sampler or whatever and drum samples, or I can do it with my mouth. So most of the time I do it with my mouth, obviously, because that's what I do. But still, all right, I've got no where I'm going with that. Basically, it's a good way to remember things, basically, is my whole point with that. You do drum patterns and drum stuff. So, what's another beat we could do? All right, yeah, the sound between, okay, so garage isn't a very big genre in this country. Does anyone know what garage is at all? By any chance?
Were you in your car?
Sorry?
Were you in your car?
No, the genre. So like the genre, for example, this is one way that I used, basically to reverse engineer like a style of music or drum break so I can understand the genre more. I use beatboxing to do that. So for example, one of the main consistent things in garage music is like the offbeat hi-hat. It's like the most present thing in the mix. And then there's always this little kind of, it's like really hard swing. The only way that they really get that sound is by turning the swing up in a drum machine, or taking an old drum record, that's like, an old dub record, and pitching it up. And so you get like, originally started from taking garage, let me start fresh. My brain's got so much information trying to bust it out of it. So originally garage started from taking old dub records that went, that swing sound, right, slow. You speed it up on a record player. And then they were like, oh, that's a cool sound, that's never been done before. So they started adding a snare in it. It's really kind of skippy and all over the shop. And it's got this weird thing. So yeah, I use it to basically break that down. So how could we get everyone to do garage? It's quite advanced. Or even a rim shot. That's it. And then the kick on the one. So only on the one, not on the second one. Alright, and to help you with that, there's also, you can add a little in the mix there. So.